Pump in hand, finding the angle. There it is, the 129. Wavy Jacob takes down DJ and the 200. Wavy Jacob's an animal. He's on low ground now. It's a 1v1v1.
Oh, like, fuck this kid. Oh my gosh, dude.
But he gets pretty good ping to west because Alesia's Latin American, so
no way you just got sniped, Reed. No way you got sniped.
G'day mates, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm just going to be recapping the NA West Dreamhack Grand Finals because as you saw from those starting clips, there was a lot of action that happened and I just want to keep you up to date. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. This was one of the craziest tournaments I've ever watched and let's just jump straight into it with what happened in game one. Right from the outset in game number one, we have one of my favorite storylines to develop from the NA West Dreamhack Grand Finals of East versus West. With Dreamhack being open to anyone who wants to register and not being region locked, you quite often see these East pros showing up on West and trying to steal some of their prize money. But you have the likes of Arkram you have to walk through, Reet, Wavy Jacob, some of the best solo players in the world, and both of them are in this lobby. So right now, Who Fishy is trying to show up and catch a dub on top of Wavy Jacob and Arkram on their own servers. And a bit of a spoiler, he does just that. Who Fishy is one of the best solo players I've ever watched at playing calm, playing collected, but knowing when to go for refreshes. This man came into this endgame with only 2 eliminations on the board, 100 materials, and just went for impact frag after impact frag. He just went toe to toe with Wavy Jacob, one of the best fraggers in the world, and made him look silly. And now it's a 1v1 against Arkram, arguably the best solo player in the world right now in these stacked formats. And you can see why. Arkram making this not easy for Who Fishy right now with the low ground peaks as Who Fishy trying to close out the first game dub, has the loadout to do it, has the mat advantage as well, but doesn't have the meds to take this to a heal off. And look at Arkram playing from the low ground. He is not letting him have this one easily. Who Fishy's trying to set up for it, trying to find the angles, seeing if he can do something about it. And then we have Arkram on the outside with a 27 tag. And just like that, luckily for Who Fishy, he does have the health advantage. But we're going to break down the leaderboard because we're going to see a story you don't see happen a lot in Dreamhack of eliminations coming out on top. So after game number one, despite Who Fishy picking up the dub, we see a name that we are all too familiar with seeing at the top of these leaderboards now. 100 Thieves Arkram coming out in first on 98 points with the 6 eliminations second. So Who Fishy picking up the 5 elimination win sees him in second, Trippy in third, Wavy Jacob in fourth, SMG in box in fifth, but Elysian in sixth. And that's a name you're going to want to keep an eye out for. If you watch this tournament or you know the results, you know exactly why. But the Latin American players show up in a big way in these solo tournaments, and you're going to see just that today. So let's see how game 2 shapes up. And a bit of a spoiler, it doesn't end too well for Who Fishy. It was an absolutely tragic game 2. Heading into game number 2, all eyes were on Who Fishy to try and hold on to his top 3 placement. He was in second place, only a few points behind Arkram and looking so good out of Stark Industries. Started setting up some of his Storm Surge tags, but he heard some footsteps creeping from a name we're used to seeing W keying in these tournaments, D-Roller. A name that we've seen on the kill feed so many times going for aggressive eliminations and could have spelled disaster for Who Fishy's game number 2 for what is going to be a pretty rough tournament for Who Fishy going forward. Starts setting up to farm his material, hears the footsteps approaching and instantly reacts and rolls D-Roller, clipping him so hard with such a clean purple pump shot instantly as soon as he falls in the box. And everything at this point was looking so good for Who Fishy, and then disaster struck. Only a few moments after that insane elimination, Who Fishy looking so good, 2 shockwaves, 4 crash pads, no meds, but so much material with a zone that's pretty far but looking amazing, and this happens. Who Fishy crashes in second place game number 2, and I have to applaud this man's mental strength. He is in for one of the roughest days I've ever seen a pro go through in a tournament, and he does it with the best attitude. He doesn't even rage. He just writes it off and heads into game number 3. But we need to see how game number 2 finished off. Game number 2 continued the storyline of East versus West. It was won by Macon, who I don't have perspectives of as well, but you had so many big names jumping up there, 2 of which being Reet, who we're watching right now, and Dubs. Reet being one of the best solo players in the world in NA West, definitely dropping big frags, but being known for inconsistency. This is one of the most aggressive players in the world. He knows how to play this endgame smart, and his mechanics carry him through, but can often get kind of muddled up in the mid game going way too aggressive. But this game was all about Reet. He had 5 eliminations on the board, creeping into top 6, going up against the likes of Dubs here in this endgame, who was also jumping up on the leaderboard, had no mats on the board. That was literally a phase in through the wall with no stair because he was that desperate to get in. 4 players alive right now, and this game was the one that was going to shake the leaderboard up massively. We see Akram go down earlier in this game, and we saw Who Fishy crash. So this was anyone's chance to overtake that top spot, and it's where Reed tried to do just that with the clean pump to finish off Dubs right before going down in second to Macon. And this one shaped up the leaderboard in a big way jumping into game number 3. The leaderboard after game number 2 having the same faces, obviously Akram up there still, Krizux, SMG and Box still hanging around, but we see that big jump up from Dubs and Reed with those massive performances last game. But the big one to notice here is Wavy Jacob jumping straight out of that top 10, and he had this tweet to kind of say about it. Boogie bombs are still in comp. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. And I mean, after this clip, you can see why he's so tilted. Wavy Jacob, one of the favorites to do so well today, going down early to just a complete boogie bomb, just destruction. A lot of pros had a lot to say about this item, but we're going to focus on the positive. Let's get straight into game number 3.
You're going to have to play fucking shambles this game.
There's also the car you can take at Modern.
Someone just said it's I just got boogied. Oh, I can't fucking. Wait, what the? I can't build. I couldn't build. Hello? Why does everyone go to the vault, dude? Oh my god, I couldn't fucking build. Hello? Bro, my fucking god, dude.
Game number 3, West was ready to hit back, and so was Wavy Jacob. After an insanely unlucky game number 2, falling down so early, he was ready to do what only Wavy Jacob does best. Going into endgame with next to no materials on the board, 2 eliminations, purple pump in hand, he's gonna have to go low ground and make a big play happen. And if you guys have ever watched Wavy Jacob before, you know he can do just that. He also has Faxity in his ear, which is when Wavy Jacob's hype levels are an all-time high. He jumps down to low ground, picks off 1, has to quick turn on the second with the 200 pump, taking down Degen and Elise, which again is a name you're going to want to keep your eye on right now. Low ground 1v1 situation. Wavy Jacob has to try and use the material advantage he has to break through and make something big happen here. Again, I'm going to ruin it for you because I'm assuming that you've watched some parts of the tournament. Wavy Jacob doesn't manage to win this game, but this was Wavy Jacob hitting back in a really big way. Coming back into a tournament where he's not known as being the best stacked solos player, known for being more of a WK and aggressive player, but trying to go for the heal off, trying to adapt and be a little bit smarter of a player than what he usually would be with the bandages. And unfortunately, the player above him, Slacks, having floppers in the inventory, just managed to win this one out. But Wavy Jacob still picking up the huge second place in game number 3. After game number 3, the leaderboard looks exactly as you'd expect it. Of course, Akram is still in first place. This man is a god at stack solos, but you've got Dubs just behind him in second with an average placement of 7th after 3 games. So showing that Dubs is honestly the placement warrior, trying to have that consistency jump him up there. But Who Fishy, my man in 3rd place with only 2 games played after crashing in game 2, mentally reset, came back and still got a top 10. We have Reed up there as well, Turtle Tavern, Elige. But game number 4, you're going to see a name that I have never seen before jumping up in a huge way. Game number 4 was all about big names coming back out of nowhere as Jelty picks up the dub in such a big fashion, jumping down, executing low ground, as we now see another player that I wanted to talk about. I mentioned an unknown name coming out of nowhere, and that was Natch. So Jelty, while picking up the 7 elim dub, Natch went down with a 5 elim second, and a player that I've honestly, until now, never heard about, and this is about to start an insanely legendary run into a massive placement in a tournament from a completely unknown player. Now, while the overall leaderboard after game number 4 wasn't shaken up too much, I really want to focus on just the match leaderboard here and show you how many points both Jelty and Natch gained to jump themselves back up. Jelty getting the 7 elimination win, getting him 94 points, but Natch getting the 6 elimination second, getting 83. This player before this had not even gained almost any placement points or any elimination points at all, and you're gonna have to wait till the end of today's video to see how high this guy placed. This was one of the biggest and most underrated pushes I've ever seen at the end of the tournament, and I guarantee next to no one is going to be talking about it. Now I know, I made a bold claim. I said this is one of the most legendary tournament runs I've ever seen and no one will be talking about it, but I stand by it. Natch went into game number 3 on 26 points. He picked up a 6 elimination second in the last game. He already has 7 eliminations on the board now in a 1v1 situation. He has 20 health, 10 health, and he clutches up the dub. This guy went from only having 20 points in 2 games to now being top 5 going into the last game of the tournament, and you'll have to see whether he can hold on to it, because honestly, I don't know who this guy is. You probably don't know who he is, but you should now. So going into the last game, I touched on it there. We have a Liege in first place who was getting psychoed at retail row earlier in the game and then absolutely dominated his opponent after getting boogie bombed. So a Liege is in first place with good reason. I haven't been highlighting him as much today because again, he's been that kind of silent warrior. Arkram's still in second place, which is a player you can never count out. With Arkram only 20 points down on the leaderboard, he would be anyone's bet to win it, as you also have Krizux, another Latin American player there inside the top 3. And there you see 5G Natch, who I highlighted, now in 5th place going into game 6. And a lot of people would have counted him out, myself included, as someone who doesn't have the composure to close it out, but oh how wrong I was. Going into game number 6, things were definitely not certain for Liege. Right now at this point, he had 19 players alive, 2 eliminations on the board, but Arkram is still alive in this game, who is only 20 points behind him. And again, Arkram being the most consistent solo player out of NA West, arguably the most consistent in the world, and that's who you have behind you still alive in the lobby. Liege has 2 elims on the board at this point. He's picked up that extra 5 points, gets the 3rd elimination onto wheels, drops down for the material to get the refresh, and this is when unfortunately he runs into none other than Natch, the player that I've been hyping up. And again, you probably already know what happened. Liege does go on to win this tournament, but at this point he had no clue. He does come first. He finally dethrones Arkram and makes a push for why he might be one of the best solo players in NA now as well. He's gonna have to win a few more tournaments though. Arkram's got a few on top of him. But again, Natch is another player I want to talk about. With this push, with that elimination and this game here, he jumps up into 2nd place. He went from 26 points in his first 3 games to end up finishing 2nd with his final 3. So not only do we see Liege coming up there out of nowhere, we also have Natch, who we have to highlight as one of the best players here on the day. And I have to see and think, is he going to be able to hold on to this consistency going forward in future tournaments? Is he the name that we now have to look out for on West? So we have the final leaderboard after 6 games, Liege picking up the dub and $4,000 just ahead of Natch, like I touched on, and then Arkram in 3rd. Again, I've talked about dethroning Arkram, but honestly, you have to think that he's still the most consistent solo player in the world. We're still getting a podium finish here in this tournament. Krizux coming in 4th, Wavy Jacob having a great performance in 5th, and then the whole leaderboard's here to show out as well. I'll put the link in the description in case you want to check it out. But honestly, such a phenomenal tournament. And again, I want to give a big shout out to Who Fishy, who still end up coming 12th after having 2 crashes and getting 200 to 0'd. Here, I'll show you the clip. It's just so painful to watch, but again, great performance from him and an all-round phenomenal tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. Again, I want to do them pretty much for every major tournament, solos and trios. I don't know whether I'm going to do them for cash cups because it's a bit harder when it's not set lobbies, but we'll have to see. If you guys like the video, please chuck a like on it so I know you like this kind of video. Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think Natch is a player to stay? Do you think Liege can keep up this consistency, or was it just a one tournament wonder from both of them? If you made it this far and you like the content, please subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100K by the end of the year, and with your help I can do it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.